Hello and welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. I promised you my second guest tonight wants to run for the governorship of Edo State. The question is, can he do it? At the moment, there's a lot going on in Edo State. We've got parties are interchanging. Oh no, sorry, the candidates are interchanging parties. They've swapped themselves around. The the previous governor of Edo State believes that he's very much in charge and thinks he can still control affairs in the state. So there's a lot going on. But my guest still believes that he has a chance and he has a whole lot to offer to the people of Edo State. So, he is running regardless. So let me just tell you a little bit about him. He's a board member of NGOs in consultative relationships. He's also a member of the steering committee for the Regional Committee for Africa NGO Congo. He's an executive president, CEO, Nurses Across Borders International NGO. He's the first Nigerian designate contact person for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And he's the permanent United States representative, United Nations, representative for Nurses Across Borders International. He's also a retired registered psychiatric nurse, as well as your regular general nurse here in the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome to the show tonight, Pastor Peters Osawaru Omoragbon. Good evening, sir. You're welcome.
Good evening, Priscilla, and thank you for having me on your program.
I finally got to your name because, your list of credentials were plenty.
I understand it's Peters Osawaru.
Sawaru Omoragbon. Omoragbon.
Yes,
Thank you, sir. So welcome. How are you doing today?
fine, are you?
I'm good. I'm doing very well. I'm really intrigued about, you before I go into, the things that you want to do for the people of Edo State. I'm really intrigued by your wanting to run for the governorship at this time. I know you're not new to politics. I know that you've ran twice already to become a member of the of Rep. House of Representative for the people of Edo State. I know you've done that, and I know that you've ran previously to become governor. This is not your first time around, but of course, we're in a very unique season. We're in the Corona year, the unique season of pandemic and COVID-19. So it makes for participating politically somewhat challenging. But you don't seem fazed by that. Why?
Thank you very much for the introduction and then also for the question. Uh, as a citizen of
Mm-hmm.
Edo State and as a Nigerian, it is the prerogative of every responsible citizen to provide his or her weight of experience to the development and the growth of his state and the nation at large. Like you said, I'm not new to politics. I've been involved in politics right from my school days up to the national level. But considering the situation going on today in Edo State, I didn't just jump into the race because I feel I want to come in. I contested with the current outgoing governor of the state, which
Okay.
is Godwin Obaseki, together with the candidate of the APC, and that is uh, Pastor Izeyamo. We were all candidates in the 2016 general election. And so, of course, in a race, there must be a winner, there must be losers. So I lost the election and I had no grudge. And even though some political parties protested the outcome of the election, but I felt I wasn't too desperate to be a governor, but I cherish the peace and tranquility of my state. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I was one candidate amongst the more than 20 candidates around who had a world press conference to accept the outcome of the election so that we can allow peace to reign in Edo State. So the question why now, of course, the current governor would have would be ending his tenure by the 12th of November 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and he has to leave. although he has indicated interest to continue. So because I still have that desire to serve the state, and unfortunately it fell into this period of the
Yeah.
coronavirus pandemic that has actually affected the global economy and the affairs of the state in every part of the world. That still doesn't mean that the system of governance will cease. I think the COVID-19 actually has exposed the inefficiency in the governance of most countries and states all over the world,
Yes.
because a lot were not prepared, and those that were prepared never took the whole thing serious. And but those who were prepared and took it serious with good political will, they put in place things to prevent the spread of this infection. And so you had very minimal spread of the disease. And today life is as good as if there was nothing like COVID-19. So those states would not be different. And so we thank God that the the information world has made the world a global village, and as a
Mm.
result, it is not in every area today that you require what you will be required to travel thousands of miles. These days, you can do within minutes, and so you can reach a wide audience of more than 5 million, 10 million, depending on your spread through the social media
Fair
and
enough.
any other means.
Whilst I appreciate that, one thing we cannot ignore that's so very necessary, especially in politics, but more especially in voting, are the grassroots voters. How are you able to reach them? Not all of them we know, especially in Nigeria, those who are in village communities around Edo State, the various constituencies, they're not all on social media, they're not online and all of that. How are you able to get your message across to them
Oh,
that you're
okay.
also a
Okay.
candidate when you're not able to get there now?
Okay. Thank you very much, Priscilla. I am not running as an independent candidate. I am running under a platform of the National Conscience Party,
Okay.
which incidentally is the oldest political party today in Nigeria. And as a result, we have party members all over the federation. And in those states, I make bold to say that if you take away the activities of PDP and APC in Edo State, the next political party that is in the lips of every Edo sons and daughter is the
Mm.
National Conscience Party. So
Oh,
we have members on the ground, and my posters, my campaign materials are being distributed by my members all over the 18th local governments of the states. And of course, it is true that the pandemic has actually restricted movement. I mean, the movement is not total curfew,
mm.
so there are still limited amount of movement. So as allowed, so we have been able to also reach out to within the remit of our ability and capability, and
Okay.
so we are complementing that with the news media, with the mass media through the social media. So not so I mean we're on the ground just like so.
So
But
party
what
members are on
what
the ground,
can
but
I?
you're
Yes.
not on the ground.
Okay. Yeah. The truth of the matter is that I should have been in Nigeria by March
Yeah.
actually, but
Hmm.
the pandemic got me stuck here. But I can assure you, by the time you finish this program, with is a matter of hours now that the Nigeria airspace has been opened,
Okay.
and so definitely I'll I mean my
You're
tickets,
going to be there.
my travel arrangement is set, and I'll be on the ground running. But I would just kind of let you know that even though I wasn't on the ground, you
Hmm.
can hardly tell if I'm not on the ground because we're actually making our impact felt through the activities of our members all over the state. But
Okay.
we are not renting crowds because we do not have money to share 2,000 naira to give to people, not because they want to have maximum a large turnout of people. But I
Yeah.
can understand. So, but we're doing our door-to-door campaign and
Mm.
reach out activities, and of course we are sure of victory. And I can assure you, by the time I'm on the ground physically, within a matter of days from now, then the campaign will take a new turn.
Okay, all right. Now, I wish you the best with that, and I honestly hope that you will be able to hit the ground and go and meet those who are voting. Now, you have your 10 plus care program that you want to, do it should you have the opportunity as governor. Now, the current governor of Edo State, the word out on the street is that he's doing exceptionally well. I mean, his long list of education, health, agriculture, industries, to mention but a few areas where creating employment, security, which is a big issue in Nigeria. So I want us to go through, a few of those if we can, and you can tell me. I know that within your you've laid out in your 10 plus care program how you will be able to deal with this. And let me just mention for those who are watching what those 10 plus care programs are. For your 10 plus care program, you're going to focus on employment, food, health, housing, education, water, interesting, electricity, transportation, telecommunication, and security. And I think, did you mention environment somewhere as well? But first and foremost, you have this great plan for health, for instance. I mean now at the moment, for instance, if we've never known how important our health were, I believe in this corona year we've all been awakened to the importance of having good health. And you talk about in your 10 plus care plan, for you want to make sure that everybody have access to free medical care. My primary question to you is, how would you be making sure that that is affordable in Edo State, not just for the people of Edo State, but for the government of Edo State, sir?
Thank you very much. There has been this fallacy that the government cannot provide free medical care.
Right.
But yet you have people in governance, when they are sick, they travel abroad at the state expense. And the ordinary citizen cannot even afford treatment at the state hospitals. Now, your question is, how do I think I will be able to provide free medical care to people of Edo State?
Yes, how would you pay
Yes,
for it?
the first and foremost, Priscilla, is to stem the rate of corruption that is currently bedeviling the state and the federation at large.
Okay, let's
Now,
suspend that for a moment.
Number one,
Bear with me for a second. Let's suspend the subject of suspending corruption. Somebody
I was
suspending corruption, but
yeah, I was
today,
going to enumerate how to what I meant by stemming that corruption.
okay,
Let me take for instance
plan to do in Edo State. Just break that
in
down
Edo
to me.
State. Okay, for Edo State. Now
Yeah.
there is this process by each government in the federation. I mean, with Edo State, there's what they call the security vote.
Right.
State security vote. Now, do you realize that every quarter the state governor is entitled to an amount as much as 600 million naira as state security votes. And that amount, it does not need to give account of that amount.
Okay.
Now, here is a governor that have access to protection provided for by the police, by the Department of State Security, the DSS, by others other security arms of governance that paid for by the states. Now, so what will you be doing with 600 million naira as security votes when by virtue of your office as a governor, you are entitled to the fullest security? That is one. I'm going to take that amount.
I need you to try and get straight to the points for me. Just get straight to the point. So security vote is 600 million every quarter. Just tell me how you will use that money.
Fine. Now, with 600 million naira, for instance, that can equip 18 standard hospitals in each local government of Edo State.
Okay.
With good facilities, with good equipment, with electricity supply, and now also that can also be used to pay the workers who are in the hospital their salary. Now, the problem we have in that these hospitals that are costed hospitals, the facilities are not available there. And that is why you find majority of the people patronizing private hospitals that do not even engage the services of professionals, but quacks, either nurses or medical doctors. If they have doctor, they could only just be one doctor, and they have nurses, it could just be one nurse, and the other will be quack nurses, and then the facilities are not there.
Okay.
And now what happened is that you now find this. So
But
that is one aspect.
this current administration says, that they've created something like 20 primary healthcare centers in 18 local government areas of the state. Is that correct?
There are 18 local governments in Edo State. The plan I have for healthcare delivery in Edo State is that every local government will have a standard specialist hospital. That makes 18. Every ward.
You didn't hear me. I'm asking, this current administration says they've provided 20, they've rehabilitated 20 primary healthcare centers. Yeah, they've done that already. So that's sort of what I'm trying to say is that
okay, no. You see, Priscilla, I am no, that is what they say. I am not here to promote whatever the current governor has done.
I'm just asking you to tell me, does it exist or doesn't it? If it doesn't exist, then you're going to do this. And if it does exist, how will you better it? I'm not asking you
the truth of the matter is, Priscilla, is that those are publicity stuff.
Okay.
If it were possible for you to go with me to Edo State, we'll visit 4 local governments, and then you will see for yourself that what they are claiming to have done is not there.
It doesn't exist.
You could just pick 1 or 2, and then they showcase the picture and say they've done it. The question I would demand from them is that let them provide the pictures and the videos of each of these hospitals in the 20 centers they are provided, functional live video, and then streamline it to the people of Edo State to see. It's not taking pictures, but take videos of these centers, whereby you have nurses and doctors working, and then you say this is Edo North, Edo South, and this is Oredo, this is Esan North, Esan East, and then with voiceover, then you and I will not be having this debate. So you are telling me,
we're not having a debate, sir. We're having a conversation. But I will take you up on your offer to come to Edo State and to see it for myself. So then, the reason why I am sort of pointing out what they say they're doing, because obviously you want to better whatever they say they're doing, right? So I'm required to at least be aware of what is there. So that is why I'm mentioning these.
I'm aware of what they claim is available, but it is not available.
Okay, now you talk about in your 10 plus points, 10 plus care points, you talk about you're going to invest in food crop, for instance, and they speak a great deal about creating entrepreneurs in the agricultural sector. How do you intend, how are you going to, what is your give me a breakdown of your plans to invest into this food crop sector?
You mean that is my food care program?
Yes. How will you achieve it?
Yes. The way and manner I'm going to do this is that we are going to ensure that yes, we empower all the farmers in the states, and then in empowering them, we're going to provide modern farming equipment for all of them, and I'm also going to set up what we call farmers cooperative, whereby the state will finance the activities of the farmers. Then this farmers cooperative will be managed directly by the farmers cooperative themselves. It's
Right.
not going to be managed by government officials, whereby they will be exposed to a lot of bureaucracy. And then we're also going to also invest in food crops and seed crops, supporting them with seedlings to plant. Now, Edo State is very rich in palm produce, because Edo State is one of the richest states that produce palm oil. Now, that is where you have NIFOR, the National Institute for Oil Production in Edo State. But today, that institute is almost moribund. Now, so what we will do is that institute will serve as a form of research center for agriculture.
Okay.
And then while we begin to provide, sorry?
I said,
while we begin to provide, okay, while we also provide the financial support for the farmers, so that now when they have modern farming equipment, we're also going to encourage irrigation, so that farmers will not have to rely only on rainfall. So we're going to invest so much on irrigation in every local government, so that the farmers will have access to free flow of water to water their plants. And so that is what we tend to do. And then lastly, for food, we are going to ensure that, yes, we want to produce enough food for people of Edo State before we think of even exporting this food out of the state.
Fantastic. Now, according to the current governor, he has this agripreneur program. And with this program, according to him, this program started in 2017. And under the scheme, over 10,600 hectares of maize, cassava, rice, soybean, and other crops are being cultivated in, I hope I say this right, Agene Bode, Warake, Usongbenu, oh, this one is plenty, and Sobe, over 55,000 young beneficiaries, while about 20,000 jobs were created under the initiative. Is that correct?
You see, like I said, I appreciate you enumerating what the current governor is saying they have done. But my presence here is not to begin to promote it. But I want to let you know, Priscilla,
with regards
the truth, it is not correct in the sense that
same thing.
It is not correct. You know why it is not correct? If you say you have provided 7,000 jobs for 7,000 youths, this is an age of information technology.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong in providing the names, the list of these 7,000, and then publish it? You don't even have to put it on a paid advert. Put it on the social media and say these are people that were employed during my tenure. Put out their names, their telephone numbers, so that you could just randomly pick one of them and call and say, "Hello, I am Priscilla from so and so news media." So what? Then that will be there. So what we intend to do is not to say, it's not to make claims, but we're going to be very transparent. If we say we are providing 5,000 jobs and we have provided that 5,000 jobs, we will make the list of those youths that have benefited from the program available to the entire world to see their names, their telephone contact, but without their house address, for the whole world to see, and local government by local government, word by word. So, but to make a bogus claim and say, yes, we have now come to think of the food crops that they produced. I don't know the last time you visited Nigeria, Priscilla. You go to Edo State. And then a bag of beans in Edo State today sells for nothing less than 20 to 25,000 naira.
Wow.
So if there is state mass production, as is being claimed, the people should have access to subsidize purchase of these food products, but they're not available. So whatever they claim they have produced is also competing with the market price of the private sellers. And so the people are suffering. So how have the people then benefited from whatever the government is claiming to have done? So all these are false.
Okay, that's thank you very much. You talk about affordable housing. Again, how would you achieve that in the 18 local government areas within Edo State? How will government create these affordable housing, and how will the masses be able to afford them? Because we know that wages in Nigeria are relatively low. People are earning 40,000 naira a month, for instance, and some of those are lawyers that are fully trained. So these affordable housing that you speak of, break it down to us. How would you be paying for them, and how will the masses be able to afford them?
Yeah, the reason why successive governments have not been able to provide these basic social amenities to the people is because they rely so much on contracting out any project that the state enterprise or the state ministries would have ordinarily performed. So what we intend to do when we come into power is to make sure that every ministry, every sector of the state, the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Education, all the ministries will be well equipped, they will be well financed. We are going to stop a situation whereby we have to contract out projects that would have been conducted or carried out by this state enterprise. So, but by the time you stop this contract the contracting of program projects to external contractors, then you would have indirectly cut down the cost of this. So what we tend to do is that yes, there is nothing wrong in the State Ministry of Works, and we have massive land engaged in building low-cost houses. We're
Okay.
also going to encourage private investors to come and build. But the private investors is not coming to build because they want to make profit. If you have a company in Edo State, for instance, there is nothing wrong in the state providing a land free of charge to the company and asking the company, you build housing estate for your workers
So let me ask
and
you.
then give it out to them at very affordable prices. Because number one, the government is giving you the land free, and so you just build them the house. We support them with whatever then, and they will also encourage them to use the state ministries, whereby
Okay.
the people
So, so if investors are not coming there to make money necessarily, why would they come? Because
now
people
Edo
invest
State is,
in order to
yes.
make money.
You see, Edo State is very rich with mineral resources.
Yes,
We have more
but
than
that's personal
10
to the.
natural we have more than 10 natural mineral resources in those states. We have gold, we have limestone, we have marble, we have kaolin, we have more than 10. But you
Okay.
know the problem? The government, instead of taking over the management of these mineral resources, what they did was to give it out to private investors that would make the people, and now they will not even employ the people there. But if the government has taken over this commanding height, this is what we call commanding heights of the state economy.
Okay, so
Because every reason,
you're saying that it is those investors that you will require to build the affordable housing. Am I
because
right?
number one, they are making a lot of money
Okay, so
from the
those are the
state.
ones. So it will not be any other investor, but strictly
They will be
those.
encouraged to support the government, while the government will also build its own housing, his own housing projects, you know, for the people. They will also encourage private companies that are making money in Edo State to also invest in it, so that the people from the state will benefit. That could
Okay.
be that could be part of their corporate social responsibility to the people. Because you cannot be in a state and you are making money. One question I want to ask: what give us one program or one project that we are putting in place under your CSRO? None is existing in any of the companies that are in Edo State. So
Okay.
that would be one way of doing it. Another way of also doing it is we, as a state and as a government, using the state ministries to build these houses. Because what happens, we have sand, we have is to mold the blocks. Then we have the cement, we have a cement factory in Edo State. The government-owned cement factory today is not functional, but you have uh, what's the name? Dangote. Then you have this other guy, BUA. They are in Edo State, but they are making cement. They are exporting out of Edo State.
Okay.
And then the state, the EDGs cannot even afford the cement that is even produced from their state. So is anything wrong in the government investing in the cement factory in the state and make sure that it's in full production? And then when you have massive production of cement, the people will, it will be sold to the people at very reduced
More
cost.
affordable.
And then they also too were able to encourage. The reason why most people cannot even afford to build houses is that they cannot even afford to buy a bag of cement that is going for as much as 3,000 naira a bag today.
Okay.
One block or 1/6 inch block in Edo State is 360 naira.
Wow.
9 inch block is going for almost 400 naira.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is
So
the
let's
problem.
move on. Let's move on.
Yes.
Education. Forgive me if I appear to be rushing you. It's just that time doesn't permit for us to be able to, really take time. But I don't want us to miss out on the key things that you want to do for the state. So, you say that education is a right and it's not a privilege. And you plan to make it free yet again. I have to ask again, how will you make that work?
Well, thank God. I think I was one of the beneficiaries of the free education by the Unity Party of Nigeria
Okay.
in the days of Awolowo. That all the states that were governed by UPN in Nigeria then provided free education. We're not only receiving free education, we were giving free books. And one of the beneficiaries, because then it was towards the tail end of my stay in secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
So if the government in those days could afford to provide free education, why can't we do it today? The reason is that every politician in government today do not see their role in government as that of governance, but they see it as politics in business. And so everything as far as they are concerned has to be business oriented. And so that is why they will give out and contract out all form of whatever. So we can provide that, like I've told you before, that yes, when we block all the various expenses that are being paid to hangers on, that are being given to people for one form or the other as contracts or as benefits to people because they supported your campaign. When all this fund is accumulated and then are not distributed to these people, you will discover, my sister, I'll tell you that this money will be there to
Okay.
provide good schools, furnish and refurbish all the schools, provide and equip laboratories in the schools. When I was in secondary school, my laboratory lab we carry out a lot of experiments. But today, how many? When I was growing up, there was a state library at Forestry Road in Benin City. I
Mm.
go there to borrow books because I love books. But today, there is no functional library in the state. And so we will provide this. Education is a right because education is the source for sustainability. That
Okay.
is where information, that is where education, culture is transferred to the new generation. We will provide this to the people in a way that yes, when people are not paying for school fees to their children,
Yeah.
and when you ask them to pay the minimum tax,
Mm-hmm.
it will not be a problem. If you go to the hospital, you're having your free medical treatment. Your children, you have 5 children, you don't have to pay school fees to them. And then your transportation, you have state-run transportation business that can take you at very reduced price. If you ask them pay 1,000 naira for tax, they will be glad to do it. Why? Because they know that this money will be funding these social activities of
Okay.
government. And
All
so
right.
these are some of the things we need to do. All we just need to do is for us to have this political will to do it. Stop
Okay.
all this area of trying to compensate politicians, your people who supported you because they were there. You have to pay them this amount of money, give them this contract because what they do is to sit down. If I support you and I invest this amount of money, how do
Okay.
I get it back? You say, don't worry. From the state resources, we're going to give you this and so contract, or you'll be in charge of so and so business, and all that. And that is why the state is suffering.
All right, but you do realize that in every country in the world,
Yes.
there are businessmen and women who invest in politics. You know that, don't you? But we're not going to go into that right now. So let's let's go. You know, the next thing that I'm looking at here is that in your 10 plus care plan, again, you say you guarantee electricity. Now, electricity is it's an amazing commodity that is hard to come by, even in 2020 in Nigeria. Hard to come by in the sense that every household have to provide their own. Government is not able to, and so many governors alike have said, you know, that they are going to provide electricity. Some have built power stations in their various states and not been able to switch it on, and so on. How are you going to be able to guarantee electricity to your people?
Unfortunately, Priscilla, Nigeria is Edo State not exempted. It's one place whereby we rely on one source of for any activity we want to do. Today, in the current age, power generation is not only reliant on what can be produced by the National Electric Power Authority or the PHC and the Power Holding Corporation of Nigeria, what is called today. Now, thank God you just mentioned that yes, I was the first Nigeria designated contact person for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Today, there are different sources of energy. Now, do you realize that yes, you can generate energy just from the various wastes that we produce from our houses?
I'm
Do
very
you
aware.
realize?
I
Do you
was
realize
there.
that yes, we can invest in solar energy?
Oh, yes. I was in Abuja in 2014, I think, when the UN launched their sustainable energy for all in Abuja. So I was present. I'm aware of all of that. But I don't. I think the issue goes beyond that, because I'm also aware of a state governor during his tenure build a power station in his state, but he wasn't allowed to switch it on. Was the story that emerged later, allegedly. So the state remains, paralyzed, as it were, when it comes to remains at the mercy of whatever is provided by the PHCN that you've mentioned. So what I really want to know is how you're going to get past that. Yes, we know that there are, so many different areas and sources how we can provide electricity. But that's not, Nigeria hasn't been able to achieve that. And it's not because the know-how is not there. And it's not because of lack of awareness, but it's because of whatever regulations that they have or policies that they have that doesn't allow for, a state, for instance, as I've said, to provide power to their
Yeah, I guess
constituents.
you see,
So how do you do?
yeah, I quite understand. It's most unfortunate that everything in Nigeria has been politicized. That is why I said people are not in governance for the interest of the people, but for their own interest. Of course, what we will do is that we are going to rely on what the laws of the federation says. A country that does not respect its rules is not a country. So, but I thank God for the judiciary in Nigeria. We have very sound and bold judges. And so,
Mm.
what we tend to do that yes, whatever we are going to do will be within the remit of the law. If we say we want to provide private power generation for the states, we would invite our attorney general, get a lot of brilliant lawyers together, ask them to draw for us a roadmap. What are the legal implications? What are the legal roadblocks? How can we surmount these roadblocks? Then we'll come out with it. So if we intend to go through it, and then we put the necessary steps in place through the appropriate agency of government, and then maybe the government at the central decide to say no, we go to courts. So then the court will have to decide whether what the state is doing is right or what the federal is doing is wrong. And if the court should rule in our favor, I would expect that every responsible central government will have to respect the ruling of the court. But whereby they refuse, they will be exposing themselves and making themselves ridiculed to the to the whole entire world. And so that is one way of we supporting that when you're talking of
Thank
using
you. Thank
going to
you for that
then.
breakdown.
But in
Yeah.
terms of solar energy and others of energy, you don't need to go to the federal government for that. So that can be done on even yourself with your house. You can get a solar panel and put it on top of the sink of your house. It's your home. You built it, and then you have the requisite papers to demonstrate that yes, that house belongs to you. You could generate power from that source. And so these are things we are going to look into.
Okay.
Gone are the days whereby majority of the state governors, they are politicizing their activity. They are afraid to take the government to court because they know that yes, they rely on the central government. They refuse to be independent in a way. And because they believe yes, without the federal government, they cannot exist. No. As a state, there are three tiers. You have the local, you have the state, you have the federal. Then you now have the executive, you have the legislator, the legislative arm, and then you now have you have the executive, the legislative arm, and then you have the judiciary. So
Okay.
we're all there to complement one another, and but also to check each other's activities. But none is in existence solely for its own and to rule over others. No, the law, the constitution is very clear there.
Okay.
But the majority of them are lazy to go to exploit what the constitution provides,
All
and
right.
then explore what the law provides and to utilize it for the good of the people.
Okay. Very quickly, security is a huge, problem across Nigeria. What are your? I know that again is part of your 10 plus care plan. What are your? What
My 10
exactly?
care plus one plan. My 10 care plus one plan.
My
10
apologies.
care
Your
plus
10
one plan.
care plus one plan.
Yes, please.
Break down your plans for security. How are
For
you going to
security.
keep the people of
Yes, for security. Priscilla, okay, it's a shame that today this the space of insecurity in Nigeria
Mm,
is paling compared to the military era. Today you have kidnapping, you have cultism, you have robbery, you have all manners of killing. You even have state terrorism. You have terrorism being promoted by the states. It will interest you to know that yes, currently the two conflicting parties in those states, APC and PDP, you have a city government and you have an opposition party. They are competing with themselves in terms of who is the best in promoting terrorism in those states. They are harming their thugs.
so
So
what will you?
now, how am I going to confront this? It's a shame. I just want to that by the way. Now, one way of curtailing insecurity in the state is to ensure that yes, you have record and monitor the activities of every citizen within the state. And one sure way of doing this is to empower the vigilante group in every ward of the state. We are going to set up what we call the State Security Reserve Corps, where it will be made up of able-bodied young men. You have young men who do not even have any job to do. They will be enlisted into this group, and then you have members from the civil society. Each ward in Edo State will have a branch of the State Security Reserve Corps, the SCRC. And then we also want to make sure that yes, in every ward, we try as much as possible to have records, census of the people that are within a particular community. And then so that when a new person enters a particular area of the state, those vigilantes will be able to see that when people are aware that yes, whatever the next person does is aware, and this state security units, they will have their units in the world with modern and equipped communication gadgets, whereby that will be linking them to one another, to the local government, then to the central command in the states. So that when there are, and then the state will also make sure that yes, there are vehicles at least for one or two for each of these in every ward, so that when there are crises, they will be able to move. And so then we also support the police. We are going to, apart from whatever is coming to the police from the federal government, the state will also support the police from our own state resources with modern equipment and vehicles to combat crime.
So my last word to you, just very, very quickly, why should anybody vote for you?
Sorry?
I said very quickly, why should anybody vote for you? Because we have to go now. Why should anybody vote for you?
Why should they vote for me?
Yes.
Yes, I want the Edo people to vote for me. One, because I have served the nation as a civil servant. I have
Mm-hmm.
no blemish in my record. I am coming with an open mind. On my first day in office, I'm going to declare all my assets, not a true private declaration, but I'm going to make all my assets public to the whole people of Edo State, so that you will measure my activities by the time I leave office with what I came in with and what I am going out with. So, and then whatever amount I'll be earning as a governor, I will also declare it. I will make sure that every member of my cabinet do the same thing. Whatever they have before they come to government, they will publicly declare.
Okay.
And I'm going to run an open government whereby on a monthly basis, I'm going to have what we call the Edo State Forum. I'll move from local government to local government, where all the people in that local government will have direct access to me to ask me and my cabinet members questions. So you don't need to write letters to pass through one permanent secretary to reach me. So everybody will line up. It could be for 4 or 5 hours, and we'll sit down, and then they will have their turn at the microphone. If you have any complaint about any particular office or commissioner, mention the name and what he has done. He will be asked to defend himself or herself there. That is
All
number one. Another thing I'm going to do as
right.
a person.
I
Oh,
would,
sorry.
unfortunately, time is so against us, but I
That's
think
okay.
that, we've been able to let the people know, those who are voting, what your intentions are. I believe we've done that. And I want to say that I wish you all the very best. And I hope that with the opening up of flights going in and out of Nigeria that is happening hopefully this weekend, that you will be able to get to Nigeria and on your feet and speak to people directly. I wish you the very, very best with that, sir.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. I appreciate this from the bottom of my heart, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I also want to thank the viewers and the people of Edo State for their time. And I hope, by the grace of God, we will get to our promised land in Edo State through Pastor Peter Omoragbon. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, Pastor Peter, as you've heard from him, he wants to be the governor of Edo State, the next governor of Edo State. If you believe in what he's just told you, and you're from Edo State and you can vote, support him. He's running on the National Conscious Party ticket, and he's running as governor. So all the best. Thank you so much for being here, Pastor Peters Osawaru Omoragbon. Really appreciate it. And for all of you that have been with me week in, week out for these past few weeks, I want to say thank you to every single one of you. Thank you to all the guests that have graced us with their time and their expertise and so on. We appreciate every single one of you. It's the end of season 1, but it's not the end of us. We will be back in about a month's time. So look out for us in October, when we will be back with season 2. In the meantime, please stay safe. Look after yourselves. Thanks once again. Good night.